Well, thanks, Representative Moon. That was awfully nice things you said about me. I don't know that I can live up to them, but thank you. As Representative Moon said, I am also on Central District Health, so I serve as the vice chairman. So I've done that for several years. This year became more difficult than most because we're not really used to issuing these kind of orders. So as part of all of the emails, I'm sure probably there's some of you out there who did email me. As a result of a lot of the emails and the comment that I got from folks, I went ahead and a couple of people asked that I go ahead and put an RS together that would address some of the concerns. So there were 3 concerns that I heard primarily from constituents. The first was the power of the district boards, the ability to put in countywide or district-wide orders. And so the first part of the bill deals with that. So how it deals with that is any sort of order put in place by the board, by the health board, could then be reviewed by county commissioners. So you would then appeal to your county commissioner, and your county commissioners could decide if they want to overturn that order. It's a may, not a must, so the county commissioners still have some leeway as to whether they hear the appeal or not, but that was the purpose of that, to give people some appealing power to their elected officials, not just to district court as it's set up now. The second part of the bill, there was some big concerns about penalties on these orders and the things that Central District Health does, the health boards do. They cannot issue infractions, they issue misdemeanors. And so when the the countywide mandate went into place for Valley and for Ada, when they mandated masks, that then became a misdemeanor, and people thought that was a bit much. I was one of those people. Didn't like the mandate to begin with, really didn't like that it was a misdemeanor if anybody was charged with it. So we changed that, so now they get 2 chances at an infraction before it becomes a misdemeanor. I think we can all agree that we don't necessarily want restaurants serving questionable food and getting around it by just continually having infractions. So eventually it turns into a misdemeanor after the first 2 infractions, but for the most part, it should limit that fear of misdemeanor. The third thing the bill does deals with the health order. There's been lots of confusion, I think, about the emergency declaration and the health order. They're 2 different things, and we really need to get the word out that they're very different. The governor has used that confusion to his advantage. We need to be clear. There was a health order. There are emergency declarations. Emergency declarations help with federal funding, National Guard, that side of things. The health order was what he put in place for the state regarding basically gatherings and that type of thing. So the health order's been rescinded. It's on his latest stage 2. If you look at stage 2, there's only 2 remaining mandates in it. Neither one addressed the section of code that I did in the bill. The first mandate involves masks with regard to long-term care facilities. The second mandate is through Department of Ed, where they're limiting attendance at ball games. So the statewide health order was rescinded by the governor. This bill would take those orders, and they're orders placed by the Director of Health and Welfare. So the governor doesn't actually have the doesn't have the authority to issue those health orders. It's the director at the Department of Health and Welfare. So a bureaucrat issued that order for the state, mandating gathering size. So what this bill would do would then have a review process. So the director would be able to issue an order for 30 days, and then after 30 days, it would be the choice of the county or the affected locality whether they wanted to renew it or not. So that, again, you would get the option out of the bureaucrats' hands, and you get it into the elected officials' hands. So that's the sum up of the bill. I am not a long talker. So if you have questions or comments, I presume that's what you were looking for from me, Representative Moon?
That's perfect. But also, I think what's important is talk about why it's still important to run these bills, this legislation, even if things change with the governor, that we still...
Yeah, well, and that's a good point. So, I think we're all thankful that the order got rescinded after a little bit of pressure that the legislature put on the governor. But that's not a long-term solution, and at any time, the Director of Health and Welfare could reissue an order. So pieces of legislation like this, pieces like Representative Monk's is running with regard to the emergency declarations, that are important because we want long-term solutions. We want to look at the code and see where it failed this time when we had a pretty severe stress test, and we want it to be able to stand up next time we have a situation like this. So the code changes, the policy setting, that's what we do here, that's our job, and so we're looking at that more than these short-term solutions, and so that's our focus, and we'll be going forward. So
So before Representative Blanksma leaves, does anybody have any questions they would like to ask her? Yes, ma'am.
So after 30 days, it would go to, you said, to the county. Is that the board of supervisors? Is that?
That'd be your county commissioner. So after 30 days, the orders would actually expire. So he only gets 30 days to have an order, and then they would have to be extended by either your county commissioners, your mayor, that kind of thing.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Because it's part of the Bill of Rights, is it proper to put something in that protects the right of the people for religious gatherings?
That is part of Representative Monks's bill when we talk about the emergency declaration, and that's been considered, and there's language in that bill. And I haven't seen the most recent draft because he is introducing it, I believe, tomorrow. So yes, that was addressed under there, not so much under the health orders. Sure, yeah.
I may have missed this. Has this bill been introduced to the governor?
This bill, my bill,
Yes.
it is sitting in health and welfare right now.
Okay.
So yeah, it has a bill number, it's 33. So,
Yes, sir.
Does your bill address the standards of scientific proof that any health district has to consider when it formulates an order? Does it change those standards of scientific proof and what the health district must consider?
in the interest of policy making, I didn't dive into that area of defining what they have to do. I just wanted to make sure that there was a review by elected officials on any order that they issue. So,
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more question, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see your hand.
So what's possibly going to stop a health and welfare director from reissuing an order similar to what Governor Whitmer did in Michigan after the Supreme Court found her orders unconstitutional? She simply 2 days later reissued another order,
well,
slightly different.
yeah, the governor can't issue the orders, the health orders, but the director could.
Yes.
And so it could do it, it doesn't address a rolling order, but it does mean that they expire automatically every 30 days.
What's to stop them from issuing a slightly different order 2 days later?
Well, I don't know that there's too much language that we can put in there that would actually prevent that. I mean, there's always ways around everything. We're doing our best with the language that we have to try to prevent that. I would think that just based upon what we've gone through when we had the resolutions that would have eliminated the order, public pressure matters. And if you have an order that expires, the thought of re-upping it, that's harder than just allowing it to sit in place. So.
I've got 2 more speakers in the next half hour,
Yeah.
so I'm sorry that we do have to move on. And if you want to email your questions
Yeah.
to Representative Blanksma, please do, and she'll respond to you. But again, we're taking little bites.
Yeah.
And this is one of the little bites that we need to take. So,
Yeah, you're totally welcome to email me anytime. I'm happy to answer, and there are other pieces of legislation out there, but this is one example. So
Yes.
thank you for the time.